Hello everyone and welcome to our class on Instagram. I think you're going to enjoy it, and before we begin I just want to make a quick little note. Normally I never ever do this, but for this specific video I'm going to be disabling all comments. The reason being is the last time I taught this class we got a lot of people who were just simply trying to promote their own Instagram handles. They weren't actually watching the videos, but they just kind of troll the internet for anyone who does a tutorial on Instagram and just say, follow me. So not doing that for this particular video. Without any further ado, here it is. Here's our class on Instagram. Coming up next on PCClassesOnline.com. Hello everyone and welcome to the class. Today we are talking all about Instagram. Through the course of this class today, I'm going to show you, of course, how to set up your profile name, how to navigate this little social network, find your friends, find people who you might want to follow, and how, of course, to share your photos and give them that little vintage-like effect to them, which has become known as the Instagram effect. So let's get started here. Instagram is one of those social networks that pretty much exclusively runs from a mobile platform. You're only going to be using this from either an iPhone, an Android phone, or a Windows phone. So if you have any of those, great. You can, of course, share your photos with your friends. There are certain limitations. You cannot share anything that is explicit. You can share video, but it's pretty limited. And to be perfectly honest with you, very few people share videos on Instagram because of those limitations. When you first download it to your phone, you're going to be asked to create a handle name. Same thing as a username. So in my case, should any of you care to follow me, my username is PCClassesOnline. Pretty predictable. I tend to shoot a lot of photos of Cape Cod, since that's, after all, where we're based out of. You'll also see over the course of this video that I am an aerial drone pilot. No, not the kind that you hear about in Iraq or Afghanistan or any of those countries. No, I shoot photos from my drone for artistic purposes only. So let's begin here. When you create your handle name, next thing you're going to do is create your profile. So that's a little piece of dialogue. You can say a couple words about yourself. For any of you who are businesses who are looking to do this, you can put your website URL, whatever you want there. And then what I want to do next is I want to kind of walk you through the different settings, at least what I recommend. So let's tap on that little gear icon that you see at the very top right of the screen, which, by the way, I should probably mention, this screen that you see right here that shows my profile and some of my photos, that's this little human button you see here at the very bottom right corner of your screen. So from there, we're going to now go to the little gear icon. And these are all of your different options or settings. So the first part we have right here is you can immediately find who of your friends who are on Facebook are also on Instagram, a very handy feature. So if I were to tap on where you see it says 561 of my friends from Facebook are on here, I can see who they are, but I can also see recent photos that they've shared. I want to, at this point, go mildly off topic and just give you a really strong piece of advice about how to use Instagram in general. You're going to be, over the course of the process of creating your profile, you're going to end up finding friends, whether it's people who you are actually friends with or finding people who kind of share the same taste as you, and you can follow them and see their photos when they post them. My advice is to really just stick to the people who share your common interests. The reason being is this. One of the things you'll notice, it'll come up later on, is you can get a notification when someone else decides to follow you, who you may or may not know. It can be very tempting to kind of want to thank them by following them back. The problem is it tends to dilute your experience with Instagram. You end up seeing a bunch of photos that you didn't really want to see. For me personally, this is people who just constantly share photos of food or their pets. Those two things, personally, for me, drive me nuts. So I don't follow people who do that. I like to use this as an art form. I like to use it, as I said, for creative inspiration. I encourage you to do the same, but that being said, we're all different. We're all entitled to our own opinions. We all use things differently. You can also use the options here to go through your phone's contacts and find who of your friends who are in your address book are also on Instagram. Scrolling down a little bit further, of course, you can edit your profile through the options screen, change your password. Okay. Scroll down a little further. Oh, by the way, you can create a private account. And what that will do is it means only people who you approve can see your photos and videos. Otherwise, it's basically open to the public. Linked accounts. You will see here that Instagram does link in with several other social networks. Ironically, not LinkedIn. But you can see Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Flickr, and a few others there. Moving back. Push notification settings. My advice on this is to probably disable it. You can choose to use it if you want. I just personally don't like to be notified every 5 seconds of who has liked my photos. As I said, I have pretty specific uses for how I personally use this. Save original photos. You can turn that on or off. One of the pieces of advice I would like to give you is when it comes time to take a photo, I don't really recommend using their app. I recommend using your built-in camera app. Compose the photo, using that app, and then you can edit it in Instagram. You can always pull it up later. Preload videos. Big piece of advice on this one here, especially if you're out and about. If you don't have an unlimited data plan, as I said, not a lot of people do share videos, but my advice is that you change this away from always to only on Wi-Fi. That way it doesn't eat up your cellular data. Moving on here, you can see we have a few other little options, information about ads, blog, blah, 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 blah. We don't need to go over any of that. Next thing we're going to do is I want to talk about the feed. So if you look here at the bottom left corner, see that little house icon? That is your Instagram feed. So for the people who you decide to friend, you can see what photos they've posted. And you can just kind of scroll through here and you'll see there's one that I just posted a little while ago when I was teaching this class live, etc. A couple other things you can do here is, let's say you see a photo and you're like, you know what, that's a really great shot. If you double tap on the photo, you'll like the photo. The other thing you can do is, if you look at the bottom, I've actually already done it for this class, for this particular photo, but there's a little like button here. Tapping on that will do the same thing. You can also leave a comment if you like. You can see that right there. There's a comment button right here. Now, not that it happens often, but if you see a photo that's inappropriate, you can click on these 3 little dots here to the bottom right corner of that image, and you can report it as inappropriate, but you can also share it to other social networks like Facebook. You can tweet it out, or you can copy a share URL, something I don't really recommend doing since, as I said, Instagram doesn't really work that well just on the web, on a computer. It really is meant for a mobile device. Now, one question I received during the live class of this was, can you save your friends' photos? Well, technically the answer is no, but there are ways around it. For example, if I wanted to, for whatever reason, save this photo, I could share it to Facebook, and from Facebook I could download the photo. But are you really supposed to do that? Not so much. Next thing we're going to talk about here is the little spyglass you see at the bottom left corner. That's used, predictably, for searching, whether it's people or photos. I want to show you first how I use this, because there's different ways to do it. So what I usually do is I ignore where it says photos and people up here, and I go straight to the search bar. So I tap on that, and you can search through one of 2 methods. If you happen to know someone's profile name, you can search for their actual profile name. In this case, you can see I did for Lady Gaga. It was pretty obvious who it was going to be. That blue check mark, by the way, that indicates that someone is a celebrity. It's a verified account. In order to become a verified account, you have to have thousands and thousands, if not millions, of followers. So probably not something you need to worry about for most of you out there. But what I like to do is I like to switch over here and search via hashtags. A hashtag is basically a method of categorizing a photo in this case. Of course, they're also used in Facebook and also Twitter more commonly. So in this case, I like to use this to find other people who share like interests. In my case, that might be hashtag drone. So I have it right here on my recent list because I just taught this class. So I can go through here and I can see what other drone enthusiasts are out there that are photographing things from the sky. And if I find one that I like, let's see if I can find one. Okay, here's an interesting one of a sunset. I'll tap on that. Hey, pretty great little photo there. So if I decide, you know what, this guy's got some talent, I think I'm going to follow him. You can see the person's handle name here at the very top. So I can tap on that, and there's a little follow button just to the side of that. Looking at this guy's work, I'd say he's pretty damn good. So I'm going to tap on the follow button. He will receive a notification whether or not he notices it or not. Sorry, that's me assuming it's a he. Him, he or her. Him or her. Sorry, try to be all inclusive here. Let's go back. That's how you can find people, again, who share those similar interests to what you enjoy. The next button you see there is the button that you will use when you want to post a photo. I'm going to tap on it right now. My phone is on my desk, hence why you see a black background right now. But there's a couple different ways to do this. So if you see there at the bottom left corner, that's a screenshot I accidentally took from my phone, that is access to your photo library. Now, you can either shoot photo or video. There is a little video icon right here. If you use that, it'll switch over to video mode, so you can record, I believe it's a 15-second video clip, but that's it. So again, you can kind of see just from that one limitation a big reason why people don't tend to use Instagram for posting videos. So I'm going to do this right now for you. I'm going to tap on that little button you see. And it went into the last folder that I was in, which is my best drone shots. Now, if I wasn't there, you see this little bar right here. You can swipe up on that, and you can actually hit that little back arrow and see all of your different photo albums that you have in your phone. Let me go back to where I was, best drone shots. Okay, and pick whichever photo it is you want to share. I think for now I will share, let's see, I think I'll do this one right here. Flew to the top of Provincetown Town Hall and shot that. When you find the photo you want, the first thing you're going to want to do is you want to compose the shot. And by this, I mean really just zooming in. During the live class, someone asked about cropping. There's no cropping, but there is zooming in. So what you do is you pinch with your fingers to kind of get it at just the right angle that you want. And when you find that it's about right, you can let go. You will see they give you a little grid there, so helpful for the rule of thirds. When you feel you have it good, hit next at the very top right. From here, you can add things like filters and different effects to your photo. Now, there are 3 buttons here. The first one is filters. The next one is a feature called Lux. And then we have the little gear icon that's for your other settings. So let's start off with filters. Now, usually the way I like to do this, if you tap on any of these ones at the bottom, it'll instantly add the effect. The N is normal, and then we get some of the more creative ones. And these effects primarily really make your photo have that vintage feel to it. What I like to do is I just put my finger right here at the right corner, and it will move over every time you tap on it. So you can kind of find which one feels right for you. Now, I really like sharing my photos the way they are. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of saturation, but I'm not the kind of person who adds a lot of filters to his photos. So let's go over to the next one, which is Lux. Lux is very similar to saturation. In fact, if I kind of go back and forth, maybe you can see the similarities. So if you go all the way to the left, it kind of grays everything out, but otherwise it just kind of makes all the colors pop a little bit. Hit the little checkbox there to accept. And now let's go over to that last option there, the little gear. So for example, this photo is not, I don't think it's perfectly straight. So what I can do is I can tap on that adjust button, and now using my finger, you can see it actually zooms in just a little bit, and I can rotate the photo. That way you don't get cut off corners. And when you feel like you've got it right, you can hit the little checkbox there. You can adjust the brightness, contrast, color temperature, or warmth. In case of warmth, if you drag it to the right, it's going to add more reds and yellows and oranges. Whereas if you go to the other way, it's going to add more blues to your image. I'm going to hit cancel on that one. Scrolling down further, you can add saturation. Pretty much a general rule in photography. Adding a little bit of saturation makes almost every photo look just a little bit better. Just be careful not to go too crazy with it. So you go too far and it starts to look fake. Scroll further, you can see you can adjust the highlights and shadows. You can add a vignette effect where it'll kind of darken the edges of your image. One of my favorites, though, is tilt shift. And tilt shift won't work very well on this particular photo just because of how it's shot. But if you've ever seen photos that make like a landscape look like it's miniaturized, it's the same thing. Miniaturized is a cute way of saying tilt shift. Basically what you're doing is you're going to be blurring the majority of the image, but you leave one section of it in focus. So I'll try to do it. I don't know how well it's going to work. Let's go linear, and I'm going to kind of drag it down to include just the bottom part of that photo. Yeah, it doesn't really work that well. You can use your fingers, you can expand and shrink it to really focus in on the key areas. It doesn't really work that well for that image. Let's turn it off. But it's a pretty cool effect to play with if you want to explore. And then finally we have sharpen. is your final tool there. Now, when you feel like you've got your image perfect, you're going to tap the next button at the top right, and now we can start to add in captions and hashtags. So, for example, I'll just do a quick dictation here. Provincetown Town Hall shot from my aerial drone. So there I put in a little description. But if I want to make it so that other people can easily find this image, I might want to add a hashtag or two. So for example, the word drone. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go before the D, you see there, okay? And I can add the hashtag symbol, which you see in this case on the keyboard is at the very, very bottom right. And so what that is going to do is it's going to make it searchable. And basically anyone else, again, searching for the word drone will be able to discover this photo. You can add, there is some sort of a limitation. I've never actually hit it, but there is a certain limitation for how much text you can really put here. So put in whatever you want, put as many hashtags as you want. You know, I might put in a hashtag over here at the word Provincetown, since that's going to be another key word that people might want to look up. And when you're done, hit OK. You can also tag people. So if there are other people, you can tag them. You'll just tap on their face and they'll be notified that they're in the photo. I want to give you a piece of advice about this add to photo map here. This has to do with security. So I haven't really shared this with our classes before, but a few years ago I was robbed. And it was right after I had posted on Facebook that I was going out to a public event. And basically someone saw that and took advantage of it and broke into my home. So my advice to you is if you're going to add basically a tag location to your image, do it after you've already shot it. Be home when you actually do that. Another thing, parents, make sure you talk to your kids about that because, anyone can follow you on Instagram unless you do a private account. So you want to make sure that if your kids are using Instagram, that they're using it safely and intelligently. You can also share this image to other social networks, like, for example, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Flickr, or Foursquare. So, for example, I might do Twitter. Actually, I just taught this class live, so I don't think I will right now. And when you're done, you hit the little share button right there. There is an option to send this as a direct message to someone, but that being said, I don't know anyone who actually uses that feature. If I'm going to send a photo to someone directly, I'm going to probably do it through email or a text message. So let's hit share, and now all of my friends can see that photo. Pretty cool, huh? Now, the next button we're going to talk about here is this little heart icon. And that is where you're going to go to find out information like, for example, who has liked your photos, who is newly following you. The other thing you can do here is you can tap on this tab at the top for following. So this is where I can see what the people who I follow are doing. Okay, so I'm trying to kind of fine tune so that I'm really just following these days people who shoot the kind of photos that I enjoy. You can see kind of a lot of consistency there, a lot of Cape Cod photography. And so you can see what they are, not only what they're shooting, but also what they're liking. So it's a great way to find, once again, other people out there who are shooting photos that you are likely to also enjoy. And then finally, we have, once again, that little human button, which brings you right back to your profile. Now, I mentioned that this is where it shows your photos. You can see your description. You also have these little buttons up here in the middle. So the first one right here is a grid. Okay, that's basically what you see right here, just different ways to view your photos. Next one is we have these little lines here. That makes it look a lot like that feed that you saw. So I can scroll through here and see all my different little images. Okay. You saw quickly there, you saw one of the little videos I posted. And then we have the little location tag. Okay, so you can see on a map where you were. It's just, we have a little bit of a screen delay here. So you can see where in the world you were when you shot this. So for example, if I zoom in way down here to Mexico, I took a vacation a little while ago to Puerto Vallarta. You can see exactly where I was standing when I shot these photos. Kind of cool. I was playing with the black and white effect in the phone there. Oops, sorry about that. So that is basically Instagram. It's a lot of fun. I recommend it. It's not something that you're going to use with the same intensity, for example, that you'd use Facebook for. It's fun, it's light, it's fluffy, but I recommend it. It's pretty fun. This is David A. Cox with PCClassesOnline.com. Like I said, if you should like to follow me on Instagram, you can find me at PCClassesOnline. That's all for me, everyone. Class dismissed.